And we are back. The game's already started. White has gone ahead and played one knight of three. I am going to go ahead and reply with d5. And now we're going to see what he's going to do. He's going to play c4, which is what probably the most common thing is for most people to do. Or you can play d4, which is kind of like a Kramnik idea where you transpose. And there's some move order tricks that go along with that. To be honest, I always thought like one knight of three is kind of like one of the most advanced opening moves for intermediate players because there's a lot of like tricky opening things that it's not like a quick opening win. They're not even related to quick traps or anything. It's just about it's all about transpositions and getting some favorable move orders. And this guy's thinking for pretty long. So I mean, it's not entirely clear what's going on, but we will see. We will see what's going on. He's not lagging either, so I don't know. I just checked by pinging him. It's very useful if you guys like play on ICC or something. I mean, if you play on chess.com, I'm not exactly sure how to do it. I think on chess.com that shows you actually the status. And now he's moved. Okay, now he's fit to the pace. So maybe he grabbed a soda or something. Okay, this is all fine. Since he's gone ahead and played e3, his bishop's not going to be getting out. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bishop on this active square. I'm going to go ahead and try this. Now I'm going to try to trade bishops. I feel like this is cool for me. The question is if I should put 95, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm trying to prepare e5 now. Might be possible. Yeah, I calculated this far, and there's no great discoveries with his knight, which is good. That is quite good. Queen e7. I've spotted a minute on him because of his soda getting. I think my position is quite fine here. I have the queenside majority. Now, there's a lot of literature about the queenside majority, but I recently read an article. I think it's by Larry Kaufman, the crazy GM guy. I think if I should play h5 or not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to take the space anyway. And think a little bit later. Now I'm going to get my rook out of the way of his knight. Scary, scary knight. I still have about a minute on him. He's just went under a minute. I have 2 minutes left, so that's all good. I'm trying to get my rook active to maybe one of those squares. Okay, so now my rook here is not so active. So I'm going to get it active. That's kind of a thing with lower rated players is that they don't know how to play with all their pieces. I'm not entirely sure what to do here. I feel it's a good moment to take some space. Take some space. Now I'm taking some more space. It's knight to f4. I guess that's a bit of an accomplishment for him. These pieces are gradually getting a little bit more active. Now I'm attacking his rook. If he takes my bishop on d7, I'm wondering if I can take this. Okay, so this is fine. It's actually a really good move. Oh, he's attacking this too. Yeah, it's a very good move. So I think I have to do it like this. Oh, wow. Totally forgot about that. That's a bit awkward. Wondering if we should play knight c3 with an rook d2, right? Wondering exactly how tricky I should get. Okay, I'm gonna go for this. He's queen c6 though, doesn't he? He does. You could go for rook d5. I'm kind of splotching this up, but he gets 24 seconds. I have 44 seconds, and now he's really going for it. I can also go for it. If vertex has 7, I'll kind of try to figure it out. Okay, so I saw this far.
Check.
I saw this actually. Okay, I think I got the mate, right? No, I don't. Queen g2, queen g2. I have to be a little accurate, guys.
Check.
In positions like this, it doesn't matter that you have 28 seconds and he's 14, because it's most important to be accurate and find the mate. And yeah, he just resigned. King g2, rook f2 is a mate, and if king h2, yeah, now queen
Check.
g3. Queen g3 is decisive, because he cannot block. Yeah, it's very important to be accurate, guys. So that was kind of a crazy game. Kind of unnecessary complications in a way. You can kind of go back and see what happened there. I like this variation with g6, bishop d7 on his 4e3 lines. Feels kind of easy. The thing is, if I go too fast with the bishop d4, because he hasn't committed himself to d4, oops, that was a big error, he can go for these queen b3 tricks. And it's not scary, but you usually have to go back, and it's kind of a passive line. I don't want to have to do that if I don't absolutely have to. I mean, I could play e6 as well, and then he has basically, I mean, most people play b3 here, because then it gets to a true sideline. But I think b3, bishop b2 is kind of a concession. I mean, I think the best is probably bishop d4, going to normal Moran. And so if you play the Botvinnik or Slav, of course it's a Slav. If you play the Botvinnik or Semi-Slav, this is probably the best option for you guys. And otherwise, it's kind of a bit of a toss-up, to be honest. I think, to be realistic, if against the 4e3, to give an idea, this is the main line. So what would happen is d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, and then he would have played e3. So it's basically transposing. He's playing d4, right? So now, typically the best lines are bishop g4 and bishop f5. Also e6 is a reasonable line. And also g6 is fairly popular, especially among certain Chinese players. It used to be hugely in vogue in the Chinese leagues because it has a really solid reputation. And the main line that it goes down into, and you can look these games up in a bunch of databases, but the main line that it goes down on is a pretty solid line, and it doesn't offer too much risk for black, which is perfect for a league game. It's perfect for when you need to do reasonably solid with black and try to minimize the risks and dangers. So when he goes for the strange move order with this knight c3, I mean, of course, you can play g6, which I did, which is just transposing to normal Schlechter Slav. That's what it's called, Schlechter Slav, the line with e3. By the way, it's mostly effective with e3 because if, like, let's say if you play 4 knight c3 Slavs, the bishop gets out, and it's not as effective. Practice has shown that the added activity of white's bishop is a bit of an improvement. But I think the best line is if you guys mostly play d6 c4 kind of lines, and it's a main Slav, is that I think the best move for you guys is a6, to be honest, against this particular sideline. Because now if you play d4, what you can do is against this 4e3 line, you can transpose back into something like bishop d4, where your a6 hasn't really cost you much. It really hasn't. And it basically goes into some of the main lines of the a6 Slav. And I think this is pretty reasonable because of this bishop. And because he's combined 4e3, which is a reasonable line, but then when you play 4e3 and the guys play a6, the best kind of knight placement, usually what happens is white plays b3, bishop d2, also bishop d3, but also his knight goes to d2. It doesn't go to c3. And the reason is because of b7, b5, and then on c3, the knight can be disturbed in the future with b4. So I think if you guys look into this 4a6, bishop d4 stuff, you're going to be really pleased against this kind of like sideline where white delays d4 in these knight 3 lines. Because here you're kind of getting the best of the a6 Slav line, which is a bit of a privilege. So I guess, and here you can just play e6. And the thing with those a6 Slav lines is it's really solid, it's really easy to play. And because you're getting kind of one of the better lines of the a6 Slav, I think it's highly recommended, especially in blitz play. In general, the a6 Slav is one of the excellent openings you can use. But I mean, the solidity can speak for itself. I mean, it's obvious how solid this is. But what I played wasn't so bad either. Bishop e6 is sort of my own line. It's kind of a specialty line. You can also see it in some Grandmaster games. The idea is you're going to take back with c5, and you're going to try to hold the center and prove that the bishop is pretty bad. It basically tries to refute the idea of 4e3 and its effectiveness. It's kind of an interesting line. I think bishop g4 is also very popular. And then eventually you just trade off the bishop with the knight. You play e6, you play knight bd7. And it's very solid. It's very solid stuff. You probably play a6 and b5 as well. There are also immediate a6 lines, 7 a6 lines, which I think are, to be honest, I think those are the most effective. But hey, I traded the light squared bishops. Here I was considering knight d5 just to trade a little bit more, because I have less space, right? So if something like this were to happen, then okay, I'm threatening c5 already. I saw this far already. I was already looking at these lines. And I think this might have been a reasonable option, to be honest. Because, I mean, it's very easy to play. I'm not sure how hierarchy this was. Maybe this was better. It's probably not so good to get the rook involved there, actually. It's probably better to get queen c7, bishop d2, e5, d6 c5, knight c5. But here I think the thing was knight b5 is possible. No, it's not. It's not possible. I mean it is possible, but I mean he doubles his pawn for zero reason. So that would have been probably a better idea. And I mean, if he continues to exchange, this is about as equal as it comes. I mean, it's very easy. You just play rook e8, you play rook d8, and I mean, there's no reason why your bishop is any worse than his. I kind of played a bit like a patzer. Mostly just trying to create chances against this guy because of his time. Now I sacked a pawn, which is like a bit insane and not necessary at all. Yeah, check. I just wanted this attack. Check. And I got it, so I guess it's reasonable. Reasonable, feasible. Alright, thanks guys. Catch you later.